Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the webinar, Data Science and Digital Transformation Skill Challenges for SMEs. We have just prepared this webinar just to deal with the challenges that SMEs are facing these days regarding this digital transformation. Next, please. So, just a little presentation. I am Ernestina Menasalvas from Universidad Politécnica de Madrid, and I am the task force leader of Task 9 on skills in the BDBA DIRIO. And I'm going to present the panelists today. Next, please. Okay, so today we have prepared this roundtable with the following panelists that you can see on the screen. So we have Artur Romão, that is the Director of Innovation and Development at DECSIS. We have Angela Fessl, that is Deputy Research Area Management and in the Data-Driven Business Department at Know Center. We have Brendan Rowan, that he's just working in BlueSpec and also very related to Digital Job Coalition. And we have Benjamin Jr., that he's Director at Sonae Invest Management. Next, please. So the agenda, next, please. The agenda that we have prepared is just a roundtable in which, first of all, we are going to have a perspective on skills by Brendan Rowan. Then we will have our talk by Artur Romão on SMEs and data science skills. Then the floor will be for Angela Fessl, that she will be talking about skills, centers of excellence, and digital innovation hubs. And we will end up with Benjamin Jr., that he will share with us the view of SMEs and last company interaction. We will have later a little bit of discussion in which everyone connected can go for questions and any doubt and discussion. And we are planning to close our session today at 1:30. So which is the main objective? Next, please. Of this webinar? Well, we know that the challenges that we are facing today, we know that 4 out of 10 people in Europe are not having the proper skills that are required just to develop businesses in the companies according to the Digital Economy and Society Index. We know that new profiles are needed at the intersections of advanced digital technologies, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, cloud computing. And the thing is that in order for Europe to succeed globally and to drive the economic growth and just to have the social progress, we need professionals that are that can use and develop cutting-edge technologies. So this is something we know that in Europe we have a lot of SMEs, and we know that the main problem that these SMEs are facing is how to contract these people with this proper skill. So this is the main thing that we want to discuss today along this 1 hour and a half webinar. And we are going to discuss all the challenges. And the main outcome that we have is that we want to produce a position paper with the inputs from everyone, with all the stakeholders involved in this problem. And to support also the partnership on AI, data and robotics, and the large audience, just by gaining further information about the challenges that we are facing. So I don't want to just take more time. I want just to proceed and to give the floor to our first speaker. So maybe if Brendan Rowan is with us,
yes.
We can. Okay, so thank you. First of all, I want to thank you all our speakers today. We have just prepared this webinar very quickly, and they were just thanks to their support and their availability, we have been able to have this today. So thanks, and I am sure this is going to be, we are all going to enjoy with your talk. So I don't want to take more time. So please, the floor is yours, Brendan, and you can start just making firstly a presentation of yourself so the audience knows just a little bit more on you. Thank you.
Yes, and just to check, you can see my screen?
Perfectly right.
Okay. Great. Well, first of all, thank you very much, Ernestina, for putting this together. I think as we discussed, you and I, actually, this is something that we feel very strongly about in the conversation of digital skills, and it needs to be part of anything happening within the digital transformation point of view. So a bit of background, I'm a managing consultant at BlueSpec. BlueSpec, we are a digital transformation agency where we focus on supporting our clients, both in the public and the private sector, in adopting advanced technologies. And we worked across many different domains, and we have a bit of experience I'd like to share with you today from different pieces of where we're working. So really what I want to do today is to go over, kind of present a bit of a viewpoint of where we are seeing the digital skills and the digital transformation challenges appearing across different initiatives. So I'll talk a bit about the transformation in general, some parts about where we're looking at how we view digital skills, what the Commission's up to in that area, what we're seeing within the Next Generation Internet of Things initiative, and also finally kind of a discussion of the Digital Skills and Jobs Coalition, where we are the Secretariat, and we're going to encourage you all to sign up at the end of this, hopefully within 15 minutes. So the first thing is to really talk about statistics. Everyone likes to talk about statistics, and in Europe we have a bit of an issue where we like to talk about it because it helps a bit of control in what is really this shifting environment within which we find ourselves. We know that everything is changing. We know that 50% of jobs require reskilling, that we're going to be looking at challenges that are really growing by the month, actually, in the current environment that we have ourselves. And what I want to say is the statistics are good to give us an indication of the different areas here, but really we need to go beyond that and to think a bit more about how we bring it into focus. And what I'd like to talk about is the digital transformation. I'm using here a schematic from actually a digital manufacturing context. And what I want to highlight really, and of course, I'm preaching to the choir, and please today I'm not going to provide anything groundbreaking, but perhaps try to bring together some different pieces, is that the digital transformation and digitalization, and this is applicable across any environment that we're looking at, is really about using data as the currency. It's about bringing in the technologies that are able to better produce, manage, control, and exploit data. And it's about adding the value that comes across it. And this is what we're looking at here today. And we're looking at new technologies that are coming online all the time. We're going through a huge progression of emerging technologies that are going to be changing how it is that we interact with the internet, but also how data is managed and controlled. And the data is at the heart of all this. And where am I going with this is the reality is when we talk about digital skills, we're talking about data skills. And this is what is really, really important, is that we are looking for a future profession or future skills gaps that are actually related to data skills gaps. We can see that the jobs are changing. We know this is happening. If you look at the top 10 jobs demands that are growing is by 2025, almost all of them are to do with people that are able to manipulate and handle data. We are seeing a big difference in people who are able to execute, and it's a lot more about structuring and management. And I'd also like to bring some old data, but I think it's still relevant today, is from a study that we did where we looked at all the vacancies on LinkedIn over a period of time that were related to digital skills. And we compared them over the time that they remained compared to the number. And actually what we found is that even in 2018, that data science was in the top 5 of skills. So behind cloud computing, behind software engineering, but up there with cybersecurity, UI, UX, and data science. And really what we're seeing is that trend is going further and further. And in fact, we're talking often about the AI talent war and also the gap that's happening in it. But how do we look at digital skills? And something that I'd like to bring into the conversation is that up until recently, everyone's kind of tried to put digital skills into nice boxes, into basic, intermediate, and advanced. And really, the reality is completely different. We actually have a huge variety of ranges of skills, of levels, of how it all works. And there's even some degeneracy within there. And if you can think how we need to approach the challenges that we're finding, this requires multiple types of actions at multiple levels through a whole ecosystem approach that's going to come from it. And even if you think of, how people handle data, you have companies that are still working on Post-its. And I can guarantee you most companies, in fact, most organizations across the world are still using Excel. as their main source of data control and data management. And God forbid, we're even talking about Google Sheets, shared Google Sheets. That's a huge step forward into how data is managed. So getting all the way up to the top there is going to be huge scaling that needs to happen, but it's pulling that gap of digital skills that's coming along the way. So what's happening within a European context? I think all of us here, or most of us here, will be familiar with the activities within the European Commission and the European Union over the past 10 years has really been about push, and it's about getting technology and European technology into place, and European prowess and research and dominance, and now we're talking about sovereignty, now we're talking about trust, now we're talking about excellence. And the reality is that we have all these initiatives going on, and until very recently, they mentioned digital skills, but really what's happened is that they now have realized, and it's become hugely apparent across all these European strategies, across all these European initiatives and these investments, is that they all rely on digital skills to get the adoption. You know, the top 10 AI unicorns in the world, one of them is European, and that's a British company. And this is the problem, is the adoption of these technologies that have been pushed, and this is absolutely needed, but now it's the digital skills problem is so important and so present across all the different areas within it. It's a problem that we've had decades in the making. You know, when we're talking here, for example, about the data science and the challenges that SMEs are facing, you know, we're looking at these gaps that have been allowed to grow over years as the technology has advanced, and have certain companies have been able to go forward with it and others have stayed behind, and also how people haven't kept up with the skills demand. We now are focusing really on short-term solutions and how can we fix it now? But we have to also think that we need to have in place those medium-term interventions that support the transition and the openness and the capacity for people to change their profession and to look at how digital is no longer a sector. And I think sectors are dead is something else I'd like to say in the context of digital skills. Digital is everywhere, and the sector idea of trying to go sector by sector is dead, and we need to lose that. But we also need to look at the long term and about positioning the European capacity to be adaptive, to be responsive to the demands that keep coming our way. One of the examples I want to talk about of this kind of pulling is the Next Generation IoT initiatives. And this is something that's really interesting and I want to bring here because it's about pulling forward, but it's about putting in those medium-term interventions and stopping the gap happening as we had it. So this is a 48.5 million euro investment by the Commission into 6 research innovation actions and 1 CSA. And this is really about bringing forward the newest technologies that are going to happen. And these technologies are really, really interesting. We're talking about the decentralized architectures and frameworks, the low power devices, the shift in cybersecurity, a new way of using networks, a new way of interacting with the internet, and a whole host of different applications across those fields. And this is introducing where IoT used to be IoT and is now actually part of what is this human to cloud continuum, and how we're having a whole host of areas. And this is where we want to stop. We want to stop this gap of where technology was advancing and skills were following, and the adoption barriers to the SMEs was being created. So keep an eye out for the Next Generation IoT. What we're looking at now already at the beginning, it's just started, is where these technologies that really are groundbreaking and how they're being implemented is really forward and innovative. We need to also be talking about the skills now. Who's going to be there in place in 6 years' time to build the applications that are needed to go on top of these architectures? Who's going to be able to implement these operating systems that are going to be generated? And just going back to the European context is as we're creating this gap, this lead here, is you can see some of the initiatives that need to be highlighted. So we have the Digital Europe program. This is providing short-term, at best, solutions to our advanced issues. So where we're talking about here in the data science area is where the Digital Europe program is supporting it. But we all need to be aware of what the Recovery and Resilience Fund, the RRF package, is doing, because this is really, really important for all of us across the whole of Europe, because it gives the opportunity for skills to be addressed, and to be addressed in a comprehensive way and in an immediate way. And then finally, the Digital Education Action Plan. This is really, really important because this is changing how our young people are educated and how the foundations are there from the beginning for a digital approach to growth, and that allows the capacity for skills development. But one thing I want to highlight is everything that we're seeing is that supply isn't the issue. Supply of technology is not the issue here, nor is it supply of training is the issue. It's the demand. It's the capacity of the companies to want to implement these skills, to want to train it, and to want to invest. And the reality is there is no one SME. And our experience is you will have that whole spectrum across the way between the advanced companies that really are cutting edge, doing everything, that are up there with the data spaces, up there with the ML and the distributed, the federated services. And then you have, the people who make springs, but they make springs well, but they need to digitalize now because they are going to be part of a digital supply chain. Some of the experience that we have from working with digital skills and SMEs here in Spain and also in Lithuania is really the main barriers that you have. And I know I've got a few minutes left, so I'm going to be very quick here. Is the biggest thing that you have is that the director of the company and the people who decide from where an SME is going do not see beyond 6 to 12 months. They do not know what's the technologies. We all here have the privileged position where we can see where the technology is going, where the future is going, like in the NGIOT initiative. But these companies don't, and they're focused on the here and now. And the problem that you have is that you're looking at a 6 to 12 months timescale here. The other issue they have is time. Time is the biggest challenge here. It's not money isn't the problem. There's a business case to upskill and to reskill and to invest in skills. It will be done. But rated to time is that within SME, you have a unique scenario where people tend to have a lot of roles. A single person will hold many, many different roles, but also you need to rely on them to want to be part of this. And then finally, when they do decide that they want to explore and invest in digital skills, they have a problem trying to find their way through it. And how do you get around that? Well, first of all, the best thing you can do is generate fear of missing out. So you need to find their best competition and show them how their best competition is doing better. And that comes from the top. That means that the director sees his competition, someone that he drinks down the bar with, is doing better because he's installed these new technologies and implemented these new changes. But you also need the champions that are pushing inside, pushing the strategy and keeping it going. And the other thing I want to say is that it's not necessarily training isn't the solution here, but it's actually about providing the access. And this may be through, access to people, so freelancers and subcontractors, or it's having the tools that don't require such skills to enable people to adopt these technologies. And if you do have to go for it, as SMEs, they need to aim for short courses, short, snappy, and quick training courses. And the final point I want to leave you on is the Digital Skills and Jobs Coalition. So the Digital Skills and Jobs Coalition is really about bringing all this together. This is not about sector. This is not about industry. This is about everyone who is working on digital skills in Europe coming together. We have 550 members. It has 4 key areas it looks at, which is the ICT professionals, actually digital experts now, the labour force, education, all citizens. And this is also supported by 25 national coalitions, which happen on a national level. One of the key elements of the Digital Skills and Jobs Coalition are the pledges. So just to celebrate some of the achievements here is that over 16.5 million Europeans have been reached by pledges made to the Digital Skills and Jobs Coalition. This includes 8.3 million people who've been trained and 4.4 who've been certified. So it's really, really about not just talking, but taking action and supporting in this area. And the other thing is just to highlight that it's linking in with the Pact for Skills. It's able to support that in that area because, again, digital is not a sector. Digital is affecting everything. And it's about all of us coming together to bring together those opportunities to grow and to share. Take part in the pledges, come join us, see what happens on the pledge here. You can see here there's 3.1 million people have been trained online by industry. And also you can come and join a member. So sign up as a member on pledgecareer.eu, become a member, make that signal that you are taking a change, and looking forward to the rest of the conversations today. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. It has been very, very interesting. We will be discussing later. So I think we can proceed with the second, with our second speaker. Artur, are you ready? So you can share your screen.
Yes.
Okay.
Share my screen. If I find it, yeah. Okay, sorry.
Super.
Yeah. Okay. So you can see it
Perfect.
now in full mode. Yeah. Okay. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here, and thank you, Ernestina, for inviting me here. I'm going to focus my presentation on SMEs, especially because I'm here in both capacities of being involved in an SME, DECSIS, where I am leading the Innovation and Development Department, but also in the Big Data Value Association that I'm assuming that everyone is familiar with, where I am taking the lead of the task force for SMEs and startups. So a little bit from my company, just a few seconds, just for you to know us, because we are not very well known. DECSIS is a Portuguese ICT company. We have a long history of doing ICT in Portugal. Now also a few years ago we started also in Spain. And I'm highlighting below the long tradition that we have of doing things that we think are right, and we are being certified by that. So this is a very brief introduction to my company. But that's not the focus here, so let's proceed. I start by quoting some parts of the European Strategy for Data from the European Commission, which I believe most of us are familiar with, which highlights the importance on the one side, the importance of data in the economy, in the future society. Of course, this is well known, but also stressing the impact of the skills or lack of skills, data skills and digital skills at large, the impact that it can have on Europe's future if we don't address this. I would like to propose to look at skills from two perspectives here. One of them is we have on the one side many data experts, of course, which are still thrilled. Many of them are still thrilled with the science and technicalities that data and analytics and all that brings to them. But we need them to know how to put those skills and those data to good use. On the other side, we have non-experts, but that must be able to capture value from data, and that's another important aspect of skills that we must tackle. So, what are the challenges? Last year we have at BDVA, together with other entities, we have revised the Strategic Research, Innovation and Deployment Agenda, which is a very important document that I invite all of you to get to know. So the link is there, and it's quite a big document and a quite important one. And I take here from some takeaways regarding these challenges, the challenges on skills that we have been able to identify. Of course, we need to match not only the expertise on data, but also the domain knowledge that many people that are not experts on data but know very much about their business or their sectors and their functional skills. We have to combine this. So that we can extract all the value that we can find on data. So data scientists must start to understand businesses, and some other topics that sometimes are not so popular among them, a little bit more, let's say, bureaucratic or politics regarding governance and ethics and ethical use of data and all that. But that needs to be brought to their attention as with the same importance as their expertise on data. We don't need only data scientists, we also need, I would say, data engineers that can put the systems, the operational systems that store and that the process and that transform and make data available for analytics and for AI and for robotics. We need this kind of skills, operational skills as well. Also, we have to have in Europe at large, the openness to foster data skills development by means of having data, software, and access to knowledge as open as possible. The European values here are paramount because, among many other things, we have to ensure proper balance on gender, on age, on sectors, not to leave no one behind. The key stakeholders to all these challenges are, I would say, normal here. Of course, we have the educational and research side of the equation. Also the companies, from the largest companies to the smallest ones, and governments. Of course, this doesn't work if governments are not aware, are not motivated to foster also the skills development among their citizens and their companies. So these are the main challenges that have been identified in that document. Of course, you can go deeper by having access to it. Now I'd like to talk a little bit about the situation as we perceive it, might perceive it right now, and what should we do to change that situation. So we have a little diagram regarding the demographics regarding data in the society or in the economy. Of course, we have data experts. We have data users that are not non-experts, but still data users, and that is an important topic here. And in both sides, we have domain experts, because people know about the business, people know about what to do with data. In order to evolve this situation, and I will explain in the next slide what I mean by evolve. We have to take some actions. We have to take we have to make a plan, and the topics, the most important topics that should be in that plan, or at least some of the most important, are developing business orientation, because again, it's not just data, it's not just the science, it's doing it with a purpose, with a business purpose. And by business, I mean, it doesn't have to be economy, it might be society. Promote training, and by training, we can see it in two ways, in two perspectives. Not necessarily formal training. Vocational education and training is sometimes, or many times, the best alternative for skilling and reskilling and upskilling people, because it's something easier to set up in business environments for many companies, especially SMEs. But of course, we have to look at this also from a formal point of view. I mentioned there a common framework for skills development and certification, and I would like to emphasize the work that has been done in BDVA regarding this, and Ernestina is the leader of that initiative. So we have to look at this on a greater scale, on a Euro-wide scale, so that people can show their skills and prove their skills, no matter where they are. And last but not least, we have to see what the market needs and go to the universities and tell them what does the market need, so that they can address the gaps that we identify into their curricular education. Of course, the European Commission here has a role to play. I'm not expert on this area, but for sure they have a role, and they are paying attention to this. I just highlighted some topics in there that show the work that the Commission is doing. But I said we need these actions in order to evolve, and the evolution is simple. We need to increase the population that are data aware and data skilled. Not only we need more data experts, for sure we do need more data experts, but we also need more non-expert data users. Again, as I said, as long as they are users, as long as they understand how to extract value from data, they don't need to be experts. But we surely need to increase this side of the population, and of course we need more domain experts. So this doesn't have to be related necessarily with digital skills, but we all will benefit if we have more domain experts. So what we want to achieve in the end is a larger population that is data aware and data skilled. Okay. Now, what are the challenges? Because for sure there will be challenges in this path. I start to highlight some key figures or some key points regarding what SMEs represent in the European economy. 99% of all business in the EU is done or is represented by SMEs. Around 100 million people are employed by SMEs. SMEs generate more than half of Europe's GDP. So SMEs, if that needs to be said again, SMEs are key to Europe's future. So what challenges do they face regarding the skilling for data and for digital at large? I have questions here. I don't have any. I won't provide any answers here, mostly because I don't have any good answers for this. But I think it's important to ask questions. So these questions would help us to understand what could be done in order to fill the gaps that there are still in place. One of the important things that I would like to stress here is that it's important that SMEs are aware of those gaps. Can they identify the gaps that they have? What are they lacking? It's strategy, company strategy, is skilled personnel, for sure. It's lack of resources. And if they can identify those gaps, are they willing to address them? Do they see the urgent need to address those gaps? How, if so, how are they willing to address those gaps? What are the main barriers? We have put in place something to address these questions, but I won't go into that right now because I think Ernestina will inform us all in the end. But this is to show how important it is to ask these kind of questions, because the level of awareness among SMEs may not be there all the time, and we need to at least make them aware. And finally, I said I don't have the answers, but I know for sure that if we don't ask those questions and if we don't find answers, there are risks. And to understand these risks, I suggest that you take a look at that document over there. It's been I think it's a work from Digital SME Alliance and also Capgemini, I think, for the European Commission. You have the link in there, and I can provide it later if anyone cannot write that in time. But again, the risks are there. The risks are serious. If SMEs don't understand them and don't move forward and at least upskill their people on this, they will left behind, and some of them may be left behind irreversibly. So what are the risks? The list in there is by no means exhaustive. We can add 3 or 4 times of points in there that are also relevant, but I've just highlighted some of them. Of course, adapting to the new demands and to the new customers' needs is one of them. If companies are not able to identify, are not skilled to identify these new demands, of course they will run into problems. They will be less competitive, for sure. Their competitive advantages will disappear. Their bargaining power regarding customers and suppliers will disappear. Personnel is also a problem because an unskilled company, an unskilled SME, is not attractive to a skilled professional. They won't know how to adapt their current processes for more efficiency, for doing business better, let's say. And last but not least, surely not least, they will be more vulnerable. Either if it's cybersecurity, if it's fraud, if it's data privacy, these threats are there, causing problems to very large companies, but SMEs will be no exception. And so if they're not aware of what is happening out there, and they are not they don't take care, they don't acquire skills to combat this, they will for sure run into problems. So again, this presentation is more like provocative, hopefully in a good way, to make us all aware of the challenges and risks that we face, that as SMEs, if we don't skill ourselves to cope with the future. And I think by that this is my last slide. So thank you.
Thanks a lot, Artur. And well, we will have the discussion at the end. Very, very interesting. Yeah. So the floor is now for Angela. If you are ready, yes, you can say. Thank you.
Okay. Well, yeah, thank you for the introduction and the previous talk so far. I hope you can see. Can you see my slide?
Perfectly well. Perfectly well.
Okay, perfect. So, I will give the talk now on skills and centers of excellence and data innovation hubs. So my name is Angela Fessl. I'm from the KNOW Center here in Graz, Austria. Let me first give you a very short introduction to the KNOW Center. So the KNOW Center was founded in 2001. I'm just fighting with the technology, but okay. We have around more than 150 researchers from more than 20 nations here in Graz. We have already conducted 900 successfully industry projects, 90 partners from economic, and more than 100 partners from the scientific areas. The KNOW Center's biggest or greatest mission is to bridge the gap between industry and science, so to say. So we would like to, or what we are doing is we do research, and in this case applied research, and bring the research result to industry, and here especially also to SMEs. So the KNOW Center is the world-class research center for data-driven business, and we serve as European hub for big data analytics and management. And as you can see, we are involved in a lot of networks. So we are involved in the BDVA, where I'm personally new to it, but the KNOW Center has a long history therein. We are involved in other digital hubs, and we are also involved in different European platforms like the AI4EU platform, Trust, Safety, and diverse Austrian Digi hubs. So, yeah. The topic today will be digital transformation, skills and competences, and in this case from the side of researchers. And imagine the following vision. We envision, or I envision, a kind of socio-technical and contextualized solution for individuals as well as organizations that promote the acquisition of relevant skills and competences with technology, in order to be able to deal efficiently and effectively with challenges of the digital transformation in SMEs, and here especially for the uptake of skills and competences employees need to have today. So the digital transformation leads to emerging technologies such as, just to name some few of them, mixed reality, cognitive computing, blockchain, and artificial intelligence. It leads to profound and accelerating development of business activities, processes, competencies, and significantly impacts work and society. And organizations really have to adapt. As Artur said, if they don't adapt, if they don't have the skills they need, they will left behind. So SMEs need to adapt on the one hand, their development processes and services, and they need to use technologies for this. On the other hand, we also have to take a look on the people on those people who are affected by this digital transformation. So newly developed technologies requires new attitudes, skills, and competences. There is a shift from non-routine and knowledge-based jobs to increasing demands for higher educated people with enhanced learning skills. So this is also where we need data experts, we need non-experts, and we need domain experts. So the people in general need to have a basic understanding and awareness of new technologies, gain different skills, competencies in order to learn how new technologies and tools operate, in so that users can accept, work with, and trust these tools. So what comes up through this digital transformation is in the end a skill gap that need to be closed in order to bring together the people and the SMEs with regard to the development, processes, services, and the skill competences. And to do so, I have prepared also some questions which I cannot even answer, but which should raise the awareness of what comes up and what we need to do. So the overall research question in this regard could be, how can we ensure that employees stay fit in practice with the digital innovations and transformation taking place today? And sub-questions could be, which digital competencies and skills are relevant for employers and employees in SMEs of a certain domain, cluster, or organization? To which extent do employees or employers already have access or have these relevant skills? And how can existing skill gaps or gaps in the skill sets of employers and employees be closed? And this also affects how can companies attract new employees with the corresponding skill sets, but also which training and learning opportunities at the workplace could be established to address these gaps. How can employees be taught in an efficient, effective way? And the other thing, which I will not highlight much, but what are barriers and challenges, what barriers or challenges arise with regard to the uptake of relevant skills and competences? So challenge one, defining relevant skills. There are already some really cool ongoing procedures on this. So, for example, there is this DICCOM framework proposed by the EU, which is a really great framework, which presents digital skills on 5 levels, and they have also several proficiency levels there. But this is still a little bit of fuzzy, so we need to be concrete here. We need to have really more concrete competences and skills. What do people need to have? What do people need to know? What do people need to apply in order to be able to fulfill the everyday tasks? And the digital competences or skills are a transversal key competence, but there is still no common definition for this. So we need to be more precise there. Second challenge is the identification of relevant skills. So which are the skills and digital competencies that people need to have? So the skills and the digital competencies depend on the context of the SME as well as the workplace. But who needs what in which context? Who needs which competences and skill in which context? So we have to differentiate here general digital competences. Like, for example, this is what the generation Z, the younger people, already have. They have grown up with technologies. They know how to send an email. They know how to use WhatsApp. They know how to use Signal. They know how to write an SMS. They know the basics for sure. But there's also the need for specific digital competences. And it's still not clear to which extent do people need to have these. A data scientist, for example, needs statistical and data science literacy skills. A normal user, so non-data expert user, needs to have basic skills, but it's still not clear which skills are meant here. And also the challenge of addressing the gaps in relevant skill sets. One thing how to solve this is to hire digital literate and skilled persons, but where do you find these persons? Also, for example, for us, a research center, it's not easy to find skilled persons in the sense that we need. It's a matter of costs. Well-skilled people are expensive. And it's also a matter of measurement. How can you make sure that this person brings really those competences and skills that you need for the work? On the other hand, you can establish contextualized training and learning opportunities at work. You can do conventional face-to-face trainings or provide skills online trainings. You can allow the participation in innovation processes, and you can also use technology enhanced learning approaches at the workplace with different tools and methods. So how do now data innovation hubs contribute to these challenges or to this new situation of the digital transformation? So for example, I will name now three digital innovation hubs. For example, the EU Hubs for Data. Their goal is to build a European Federation of Data Innovation Hubs based on existing key players in this area and connecting with data incubators and platforms, SME networks, AI communities, skills and training organizations, and open data repositories. So in the end, this platform does already exist. They offer already common training catalogs for employees and services to close the skill gaps with the help from outside. So they have recognized this skill gap, they have recognized the challenges, and they do already some tasks in this direction. In Austria specific, there are two new digital innovation hubs upcoming. So for example, the DIH Innovate, this will be the Austria's digitalization partner for AI, smart industry, big data in the domains of agriculture, wood, forest, and energy industries. They will enable Austria's SMEs to carry out application-oriented digital innovation, and it combines general digitization technology, research and educational competences, digital innovation project experience in the industry fields and business model development. And also another upcoming one is the Digital Innovation Hub Süd in Austria. Their topics will focus on production and manufacturing, technology, security, data science, digital business models, processes, and logistics. And here they also recognize the need and will focus especially on young people who are enthusiastic about digital training paths and profession. And the topic of human resources and young talent is really an essential part of this project. So they focus on the subsequent people coming up. And they promote activities like further education, presentations, network activities, and so on. Also, the BDVA has a side on skills. The goal here is to offer demanding solutions and providing talents to industry. And the offer is to easy access to information about educational and mobility programs, schemes for recognition, assessment of skills to ensure the long-term sustainability, and of the investment in big data technologies and solutions. So, and one very small example to make it a little bit more concrete of what can be done or what would be possible. We at the Know Center currently also experiencing or doing research in this area. Our approach is to come up with a kind of competence-oriented learning. So we, for example, offer the possibility to develop learning goals, training and learning skills instead of mere content. So we don't want to offer just content to learn, but also apply it or align it with so-called learning goals to make this knowledge transfer from theory to practice a little bit more concrete. And yeah, and to do so, we have developed a small widget that could help. This offers, on the one hand, an overview of the course, and at the same time offers the possibility for self-tracking their own learning progress, to see what I can and to see what is still missing for me. Yeah, this was a short summary from my side. I will now try to...
Thank you, Angela. It has been great. And well, let's go for our last speaker. Benjamin, are you ready to share your screen? And then right after that, we will go for the questions, okay? Perfect, Benjamin.
I don't know if you are seeing my screen.
Perfectly well.
Okay, thank you. So first of all, good morning, everyone, and thank for the invitation, the opportunity to be here. My name is Benjamin Mendes. I'm director at Sonae Invest Management. And just to give you a brief note about my organization, we are a corporate VC investor arm of Sonae. So Sonae is the largest retailer group in Portugal with annual revs of about 6 billion. And we are aiming to build a portfolio of world-class tech companies in 3 major investment verticals. So cybersecurity, retail, and digital infrastructure. And for that, we are investing about 200 million in the next 5 years. Just to give you a bit more context about me, so I started my career 25 years ago by being an entrepreneur. And through the years, I had the privilege to witness the debate of most of technologies we now use worldwide. So I have been a system engineer, a network engineer, a web developer, a product manager, operations director, and now investor. And that gives us a perspective about how projects could be made and how they interact between each other. So glad to be here and share some brief thoughts on how that interaction between startups, SME, and large corps could be facilitated. We all know the importance of data and its potential impact on the thriving of any organization. It has been growing, and that evolution won't slow down in the years to come. So a research from Statista published in January this year states that the global big data market is forecast to grow to $103 billion US dollars by 2027, and more than double its expected market size in 2018. And that is really, really impressive. So fast-growing data traffic, cloud computing traffic, as well as the rapid development technologies such as artificial intelligence and Internet of Things, all will contribute to the increasing volume and complexity of these data sets. But I think that as most of us are aware, to fully exploit the data potential, we still need to overcome some barriers, right? So there is a wide array of challenges, I think, and some questions, of course, that will prevent data to be fully exploited by organizations and individuals. But also based on recent reports and by our experience, I perhaps would highlight 3. So the first one is the lack of awareness of the potential benefits of data-driven innovation. And that's particularly among SMEs. So a greater awareness of successful business cases, I think, will motivate companies to take up growth through data-driven approaches and solutions. And that's one relevant aspect on SMEs. The second, the data sales barrier. So organizations, I think, not only struggle with exchanging data between systems internally, but even more so when the data must be exchanged with partners. So this silo effect has to be tackled through secure, controlled, and efficient sharing of data between different departments and different organizations. And finally, as the previous speakers also highlighted, the data skills gaps, and it's evidenced by the significant mismatch between the demand and supply of data workers. So we now have 400,000 data-related jobs in Europe, and these skills are needed not only in the sense of acquiring knowledge in critical areas like data science, AI, GDPR, IP, but also to understand how data can generate value. That's the key, through a clear linkage to the several entities process, right? So, and to address those data challenges, I share with you 4 potential pathways, also grounded on our experience, right? So, trusted and secure data sharing between different stakeholders, as I said, is key. And not only in aiming to break the data silos in the organization, but to industry-wide. And for this, it's critical to stimulate the access to data value chains from different sectors and connecting the different parties. And this approach, combined with the acquisition of a plenitude of data skills addressed through, for instance, today's event and other initiatives, will enable the creation and fostering of data-driven solutions and business models. So, in my opinion, one of the fastest and leanest ways for that to happen is to support startups that can develop data products that not only address the needs of specific SMEs or large corps, but also address sector-wide challenges and opportunities. So today, I want to share with you 3 examples intended to bring that vision closer to reality in the near future. And these are basically initiatives that we are currently doing, where Sonae plays a part in planting the seeds to enable the development of data-driven technology and its implementation in real use cases, not only for the large corps like us, but especially on the SME side. So starting with the BlockStart, it's a program we are coordinating, intent to address 4 underlying challenges to the implementation of DLTs in companies. As you know, DLT stands for Distributed Ledger Technologies, and refers a bit about technological infrastructure and protocols that allow to simultaneous access, validate, and record and update in an immutable manner. So even though the technological solutions based on DLTs are still young, they hold a huge potential for major opportunities across several sectors. So in a nutshell, the main contributions from BlockStart, it's about understanding how DLT works and could be applied for SMEs, the awareness of what process could be changed through the DLTs technologies, knowledge about DLTs and the applications on the market as a whole, and of course the information about the benefits, but also the risks associated with this emergent technology, right? So in a nutshell, so BlockStart, it's a blockchain acceleration program. It's running from September 2019 to February 2022 by 3 partners, Portugal, UK, and Lithuania. Promotions about piloting the DLT solutions to end user companies, retail, fintech, and ICT sectors. About 800K equity free to support 60 startups and 60 SME adopters. And to date, 40 startups have been supported by the program with more than 18 pilots implemented on SMEs. So 100 mentoring sessions were delivered by top-level business and tech experts. And in the first 2 open calls, we had more than 200 startups and 100 SMEs from 30 countries applying. So finally, in the coming months, there's still an opportunity to apply. So calls are open until October 2021. The second project I want to highlight to you, it's about data market service. It's another Horizon 2020 initiative. It's aimed for SMEs and startup also, tends to mitigate data skills gaps. So analytics, GDPR, IP, among other. This is not only allows startups to create better solutions, but also capacitates the client companies to better understand how to harness the value of data that they already have, and that's a big point. The second one, in my opinion, very, very important, the navigating standardization. So by fostering the development of interoperable solutions that could combine data sets and ontologies, and by increasing the awareness of the multitude of systems, interfaces, and standards will help a lot going forward, not only the startups, but the SMEs to somehow to take advantage of the market. And finally, consolidated knowledge about privacy and personal data protection. Those are the main pillars of this program. So the data market services program, it's already running. And just to give you a quick overview of the last 2 years of the program, it has been held since January 2019. It's managed by 10 partners, 8 countries, supporting about 150 startups. We have supported more than 100 until now. Mentoring sessions, investor meetings, webinars, and events. And one point that I think it's very, very relevant is that this program helps startups to raise about 6 million euros in private funding and 1 million in public funding. And this will for sure to contribute to the whole data ecosystem. So we had more than 350 startups applicants until now in the first 2 editions. And there is a last call open until April 30 of this year. Finally, the REACH program, we are also, it's basically an European-wide data incubator that tackles the full array of the 4 potential pathways that we have emphasized. And is doing that by promoting basically access to data value chains from different sectors. And they are made being available by the data providers and the digital innovation hubs already onboarded, plus the ones that are willing to be involved in the next 2 years. So access to digital skills for big data, trust and secure data sharing, via several mentoring sessions that will enable startups to develop better experiments, both on technical and business sides. And sometimes it's business side, it's very important to deploy of technology makes sense for several SMEs. One aspect that sometimes it's a pain. Sometimes it's not about the technological pain, but it's a business pain. So how a big data computing infrastructure that already proven to be valuable to similar programs could be used, and thus this will increase the efficiency, perhaps, of the data experiments that could be done, and allow us perhaps to work. That work between startups and SMEs really makes sense, and to have a clear go-to-market strategy. And finally, one of the biggest aims of this program is, of course, to access to private investment and to bring startups closer to be market ready, and then expose them in reference events and direct matchmaking, not only between investors, but also through the several SMEs that could be involved. So this program is the largest and most recent of the 3 that we are now trying to promote. As I said, is an incubator for trust and secure data value chains. It has been launched September last year and will run until 2024. 10 partners, 9 data providers, more than 3.5 million euros in equity free devoted to support more than 100 companies. The first call raised a great interest from the startup community and had generated about 180 applications from more than 30 countries. So with next 2 calls to be launched in 2022 and 2023, not only to onboard the new startups, but also to involve further data providers and digital innovation hubs, and also, of course, investors. And the challenges for the REACH incubator have a broader impact on several industries. So since retail, health, energy, finance, tourism, and social, among others, are a little bit the focus of these programs. So just to give you a glimpse of the type of challenge that soon will be addressed by startups, these are examples in the retail field. So prediction of consumer behavior in the emergency scenarios. It's an interesting topic. Optimal pricing for fresh produce, or for instance, the Sonae challenges devoted to improve the store efficiencies, using client shopping times and contribute, for instance, for catalog deduplication. those are in part challenges that are addressed by this kind of initiatives. So the support of ecosystem players like digital innovation hubs or direct interaction between solution providers and SMEs or large corps adopters is indispensable for help to data silos keep being broken, and those data make some more sense to be used regarding the business future business opportunities, not only for SMEs but also for startups. And with that approach, the vision of Europe establishing itself as a worldwide leader in the data economy, on par with US and China, I think it could be much closer and more feasible that we may have thought first place. So that was it. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot. So now is time for questions, but maybe prior to questions, as we have a little bit of time, I would like Artur, if this is possible, because together with Angela and Artur, we have been just preparing a survey, and I would like to go through it, because we are going to share the link, and because, as I have said at the very beginning, our main aim is that we will start just doing a position paper in which we are going to work on all this that we have been discussing, all these interesting topics that you have been talking about. And I would like just to go through the survey, if possible. Artur, if you can share again your screen, and then we will go for discussion, because I think so many things. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so yeah, can you see my screen here with the? Yeah. Okay, so as Ernestina was saying, we have set up a survey. We'll share the link here. It's open, so anyone can participate. We have I can tell you for sure that it takes no longer than 5 minutes, because this morning I sent an email to my CEO asking him to go through it, and 5 minutes later he said done. So for sure it won't take more than 5 minutes. Basically, well, you have seen, I think in Angela's presentation, we have already had a glimpse of the research questions that we are looking for here. So they are stressed in here as well. And I'm going to go through this very quickly, because it's not the intention to answer it now, and I don't want to take the surprise factor from you. So we are going to ask some questions about demography, so just we can get to know the companies and the people that are answering, and then go through the questions about the skill sets. This survey is structured in a way that it will avoid too much questions that are not relevant to answer, depending on answers to other questions. But if you, for example, say that your company is not doesn't have the skill set available to deal with the ongoing digitalization, if you say no, we'll ask you a few other questions about that, because it's relevant to know a little bit more about that situation. So the same goes for everything else in here. So as you see, now it's done. So very quickly, please answer it. It will help us a lot in getting insights in order for us to come up with a good position paper that will help not only the society and businesses as well as the European Commission to get to know us all better, and see what we can do in the future to make things better. So I will share this link in the chat, and then I invite you all to participate. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Artur. So yes, all the participants, thank you. If you can just take these 5 minutes, and of course, well, we will be just forwarding this email to many more people, so we can have a lot of responses. But feel free just to resend the link to everyone that you think that can be interested, and we will be very grateful for that. And well, I think that we will start with questions. Anyone that has any question can post them in the chat, so we can just have these questions for our speakers that I want to thank once again. But let's go then directly to questions. I have some questions that just talking in these nice talks that I have been just listening. I was just finding, and as I am saying, just I will be aware of the chat, so please just post your questions there, and so we have all this discussion. Okay, so well, just to start, maybe with Brendan Rowan. Thanks again for your talk, and well, because you were talking all these challenges and you were starting with all this global view, and well, we have been talking about, and we have been hearing about the Data Governance Act, that this is a part of this wider European data strategy, and that wants to build this comprehensive European data sharing framework. And what I wanted just to ask you, because you were just being there just with all these challenges, do you really think that Europe is prepared or is ready for this? And do you think that, or which are the things that, the main things that SMEs has to face? So please.
I think the first thing is to say that it's necessary. Something like this, which pushes the usability of data across the whole of Europe, is important. And I think, making explicit references to data spaces and the capacity to use them is really, really important. And we've already seen with the cross-border initiative and also the public data initiatives previously. However, we get to the point where I was talking about that you have SMEs at different stages. So if they don't know this is coming, if the SMEs are not in the position to understand what is a data space, how can they take advantage of it? Where is the value coming from it? This act is good about putting infrastructure in place, but it's not going to be about the demand, and the demand needs to be activated now for the years to come, and people need to have that forward vision. And this is the problem we have with SMEs, and always will be the problem, is that some see it, SMEs here present, know what's coming, see the value, are able to position themselves to take advantage of it. Whereas there's others who have no idea this is going on. And it is about that awareness. I think everyone here has mentioned awareness at some point, and it's about driving that visibility of the value behind the technology that's coming before them, before this data governance act can really get the true value. So I think we're years out for all the SMEs really getting it. But as Benjamin mentioned, as in startups are there. Startups are SMEs, we need to remember that, and we need to be able to position. But I think demand activation has to happen before the true value can be realized. So sorry, it's a bit of a politician's answer, because I'm saying everyone and everyone. Some people will take advantage, some people won't, but that's the reality, and we have to work with that, and we have to really drive that visibility across the SMEs for them to know that this is coming even before it arrives.
Yeah, this sounds really interesting, Brendan, because yes, this awareness, I think, yes, well, all of you have been just talking about this. So I was thinking that SMEs were much more aware, but just as you have been mentioned, maybe this is the first thing that has to be created, is the awareness there, because maybe they don't really just know they have the problem. Benjamin was just putting it as the first barrier, if I remember well. And well, maybe Benjamin, you want to say something else, just as we have been talking about this awareness?
Yeah, so the I think the main challenge for SMEs it's also limited resources somehow, and some stress regarding with the go-to-market strategies and the business viability. And on the large corps, we have large resources, technical resources, several people that perhaps the dimension of the business will perhaps allow the construction of several internal initiatives that could tackle the data challenges and drive the data challenges to leverage the business somehow. But SMEs have much more pressure than the large corps. So flexibility and understanding that there is a clear match and a clear value between data and what they could do with data to translate in business, it's key. For instance, just sharing with you the data market services, we saw that allowing us to inject some budgets on the SME side to help them to allocate resources, to talk with startups and try to better understand technology was very, very important. Because sometimes with limited resources, you don't have enough time to dedicate to more, I don't know, perhaps secondary problems than the day-to-day business. Driving also innovation, it's sometimes people tackle it about technology, but it's not about technology, it's about a process. It's a human process, and how do you transfer knowledge between the parties that could be more capacitated to do that? So in that sense, I don't advocate that startups are the silver bullet for the data problem. Of course, they are not, but they could help, they could be leveraged, and we can take advantage of this ecosystem and take advantage of people that are still young, are still flexible, are launching the business, and are eager to cooperate with larger corporations and try to build really useful solutions. So I think that could be an angle to better explore in the near future by some of the SMEs.
Sure. We will go to the process, and I think that here maybe Angela can tell us something, but we have some questions from the audience, and I can see, well, whoever that wants to reply. It says, what practical steps can we take to stimulate awareness and demand in SMEs for digital training courses? I don't know, maybe Angela, or well, whoever that you want to reply.
I can talk about that. I think the reality is that there's 2 points, and this goes to another question in the Q&A about late adopters, is that people won't particularly invest either their attention, and we're talking here about resource, we're actually talking about the shortness of attention. But SMEs are not likely to invest or to upskill themselves, or people aren't likely to upskill themselves until they have to, until they're using it, until for example, again, go back to, a company that makes metal springs, for example, and they've always made metal springs, and now suddenly they have to provide proof of origin certificates on an online system that is part of their digital supply chain now, and they have to enter into activated demand or active demand and supply. Then they will have to do it. And by then it's often too late. But really it's a case of when the need arises, people feel it, they know it, and they find the solution. The problem that I've seen is often there's a push from the tech side, from the training side, and there's a push and an offering. And often, there is a fit, but the companies themselves, they have to have that immediate need, that 6-month viewpoint on why they're doing it for them to actually sign up and find the training course for them.
Thank you. Yeah, well, this is something also that
Ernestina, I would like
Artur.
to add to that. It's more or less in line with what Brandon has said, but remember one of my last slides. I would say that we have to make clear for everyone what are the risks, what happens if they don't do nothing, do anything, what is at stake. So it's not that I advocate the fear culture, but anyway, they should be aware of the risks of not doing it. And what Brandon has said, that they do things, SMEs tend to do things in the last minute that they need to, and that might be too late. That has to be made very clear. I hope we can do that in the paper that we are going to work on after this. But for sure, the risks, making risk awareness is very important in this case.
Yeah, and in line with this, I wanted to ask, as I was telling to Angela, because, well, in your presentation, you were just talking all these, well, activities and that you are following in the Know Center and in all the centers of excellence. And I think that is a good way just to, once we have seen these risks, then how we can create this awareness, and then how we can just avoid this. So maybe you can tell a little bit more on the obstacles and how you can provide the SMEs the way and just to fill this gap. Yeah, please.
Yeah. So how can centers of excellence help to filling this gap? I think this is really difficult, but this is exactly where we could come into play. So I think on the one hand side, the SMEs and industry need to know which competences and skills the employees need to have. So they need, this is something they have to specify, this is something they need to develop, because this is also not clear, especially if they integrate new technologies or solutions. What do the people have, and where is the skill gap there? And also, which of those people working in the SMEs need in-depth new knowledge and just general knowledge? So I think we need to distinguish this. Second, there is a shift towards non-routine and knowledge-based jobs, and at the same time, technologies that are continuously developing. So people already working in SMEs need to be upskilled. And as Artur and also Benjamin said, they typically do it when they really need to have to do it, and not beforehand. This is the reason, because on the one hand, they do not have much money. They don't have any training academies or other educational programs in place, because they are small. They are only, I don't know how many people, but they don't have the money for really professional courses or trainings they can develop for the people. So what we are doing there is we try also to investigate how people, or how this regular upskill and learning that employees need to do and need to have can be investigated, so that they become a kind of lifelong learner or self-regulated learner. So, and in this regard, we are also very professional, or looking at how can this learning take place at work. So, and here comes into play technologies. How can technologies, and I'm talking here about technology enhanced learning, how can such technologies look like, or should look like, or can look like, that people can learn while they work? So for example, one solution could be they have a kind of tool that when a worker or an employee is doing a job, that this person gets immediately, based on the activity he's doing, some feedback, some hints, some input of how to conduct this work. This is the one thing. On the other thing, the challenges, there are not enough professionals outside there. So one, I think we discussed it also, one possibility to find is to find new employees with the skill sets the SME currently is needed. As I said, this is really expensive. So, and the other thing is really to find those people with those skills we really need now. So I think on the long run, and I've heard that SMEs typically look 1 year ahead or 6 months ahead, but at the long run, we need to think a little bit more sustainable. So for the workforce today, the challenge is here to upskill those professionals that are already working in these companies in a regular and efficient way, so they can stay professional, that they keep themselves up to date. And we give them they have to give them a chance to learn and evolve. On the other hand, if we go a little bit upfront and go a little bit further, also pupils in schools are already educated in digital technologies and skills. And students here in Graz at University of Technology, for example, they also gain relevant skills and in-depth digital competences, data science skills, whatever they're studying and whatever they're interested in. But what would be also very helpful is not to teach them the skills and competences, but also to give them the tools that are needed for lifelong learning, that are needed to become a self-regulated learner, to be a valuable employee in the future, also in the future for the future employers. So, and at the same time, they need to have some kind of education and training systems that adapt also in this direction, so that they really become lifelong learners, self-regulated learners, and that they can take over the responsibility to learn and to get in touch with the new technologies and understand how they work. And yes, for sure, for specific in-depth skills, you still will need some professional courses.
Thank you. Yeah, it's very, very interesting. So, well, I'm very glad with this discussion. I have been very enjoying all the discussion and the debate, but I am afraid that we have just a slot that has to end at 1:30. We have a very last question that I wanted just to tackle. That is that Patricia is asking if it is going to be covered in the position paper, the synergies between large companies and SMEs to tackle the lack of digital skills. So, well, we have not yet think on the, on the complete structure of the paper, but for sure this is one of the things that will be covered. That's why today we were having one of the speakers, thanks Benjamin for being here, because this is one of the things that we will have to tackle there. So welcome all these companies that are large one and not necessarily SMEs. And well, as you have seen, well, we have shared this link to the survey, and our main proposal from here is that, well, what we would like, and all the people that are just in this webinar, what we want is just to proceed with the position paper. We are going to continue, and what we want is not to be just the seminar or the webinar on skills and SMEs, but what we want is that this is only the first one, and we will have a series in which we can collect all this information from different speakers from different sectors, so we can end up with a really good position paper that can help the EU, we can help all the stakeholders, and just let's see if we can really create this awareness that we can go for these risks. And finally, what we were saying at the very end, that we want, well, to create this Europe in which this data strategy can be built. So I want to thank once again all our speakers. Thanks really for being here, for having this slot in your time. And as you all know, the recording, all the webinar has been recorded, so it will be available. We will share it through the BDBA. And well, anyone that is interested, you can contact us through any channel, just directly to our emails, or you can just contact or join the task force in BDBA, or if you are outside BDBA, just contact us directly, because we will be happy just to have your inputs for this position paper.
Ernestina, will you give me 10 seconds just because
for sure.
I see there is a question here from Patricia as well that we haven't answered, and I would like to answer that. Even if you are a large company, do you want us to reply to the survey? I would like to answer this because if you are a large company, of course, any input is valuable for us. We just ask you to, in the question that asks for the name of your company, just please put it in there, and just a note that you are a big company, so that we can distinguish what is the inputs from SMEs and for those who are not SMEs. But by all means, you are very welcome to contribute. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Artur, because I thought I have replied, but no. I have just done it privately. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So thank you. And well, thanks to everyone, thanks to all the audience that you are there and we cannot see you, but yes, we will be waiting for your inputs. Have a nice day, enjoy the weekend, and we will be waiting for you. We will be in contact. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.